Welcome to the Nosebleed Seats TV. I am the Mad Conservative Crime Fighter. Tonight is the 200th broadcast episode of the MBS TV. And tonight, we take a look back at the top 10 news stories of the St. Louis wrestling community for 2012.
Number 10. Former World League Wrestling Heavyweight Champion Brian Breaker is signed by World Wrestling Entertainment. Brian trained at Harley Race Wrestling Academy starting in 2008. Breaker had tryout matches with WWE in 2010 and 2011 and went to Japan for Pro Wrestling Noah. Breaker has been given the WWE trademarked name of Brandon Traven. Released from WWE included former Dreamwave personality and Tough Enough contestant Juliet the Huntress, known at FCW as Sofia Cortez. Reasons for her release are unknown to this day. Ivelisse Velez has since tried out for TNA, wrestled for Shine, and signed with AAA in Mexico. The future Donovan Ruddock, who signed with WWE in 2010, asked for his release after being inactive for over a year due to a leg knee injury that required surgery to correct. Hackers didn't make Ruddock's time on the DL pleasant, as they posted a message on his Facebook page where he threatened to go postal that was picked up by multiple wrestling news sites. The future now competes in Florida independent promotions under the name Donovan Terrell. Amazing Kong was also released from WWE over the summer. Known as Karma, shortly after debuting with WWE, she had to go on maternity leave after discovering she was pregnant. She announced giving birth at the end of 2011. She made a surprise return as the third female in history to ever compete in the Royal Rumble pay-per-view in her first official WWE match. However, sadly, it was revealed a short time later that her child was actually stillborn. Amazing Kong had difficulty coping with the loss, gaining considerable weight, and sought therapy to get back in ring shape. Kong finally made her return to the ring for Florida's Shine promotion in November. Making their debuts in WWE included former Ring of Honor World Champion Tyler Black and former Combat Zone Wrestling World Champion Jon Moxley as two members of a faction known as The Shield, who randomly attack WWE fan favorites because they're butthurt the wrestlers they endorse aren't getting pushed. Former New Breed referee Justin King continues to have post-recovery issues from a broken foot that was suffered when he fell off a ladder more than a year ago, to which he may be taking a different role other than officiating for WWE in 2013. Number 9. A conviction in the triple homicide case that took the lives of wrestler Zach Napalm Porter, Jeff Smith, and Glenda Smith. A jury found Stephen Bacoya guilty on 7 counts, including first-degree murder, armed criminal action, and burglary. Lawyers for Bacoya did not put up a defense. He was sentenced to 3 life terms without the possibility of parole. He has since filed an appeal. Jackie Wong, who pled guilty last year, has had his sentencing delayed repeatedly in lieu of him giving testimony for the prosecution. That leaves Benjamin Stidham, who has had his trial repeatedly delayed. Impacting the case is a U.S. Supreme Court ruling on a Missouri law that applies a mandatory sentence of life without parole for a first-degree murder conviction. The Supreme Court stated Missouri cannot apply such a mandatory sentence for anyone under the age of 18, saying a judge and jury should have more leeway in sentencing. However, a life without parole sentence can still be issued. Stidham's trial was scheduled to begin the week of this broadcast. Updates on court action this week will be posted on stlwrestling.livejournal.com. Stidham did plead guilty to an unrelated charge of third-degree assault, presumably for an altercation in a facility of which he is being held, and was sentenced to a year in jail. Joshua Reyes pled guilty in 2009 for his role in the triple homicide and is serving life in prison. Number 8. AAPW wrestlers Ace Hawkins and Heath Hatton make a surprise appearance on WWE Extreme Rules pay-per-view as squash bait for Ryback in a first of a series of squash matches for the former Skip Sheffield. Hawkins was given the WWE trademark name of Aaron Relic and a microphone to say 2 was better than 1, but Ryback destroyed them both in less than 2 minutes in Goldberg-like fashion. In later weeks, mmwa-sicw wrestler Barry Wright was also brought in to be crushed by Ryback on SmackDown. Number 7. St. Louis WWE superstar wrestlers in trouble for wellness violations. Randy Orton was suspended for 60 days in May for what was said to be his second official violation. However, a columnist proved that this was actually his fourth violation and should be gone, as WWE policy calls for termination of three-time violators. Orton was suspended in April 2006 for smoking marijuana at a TV taping, cited in August of 2006 for a wellness violation but didn't miss time, and named as a client in the Signature Pharmacy scandal of 2007 but wasn't suspended, claiming he had already served his time. This led up to suspension in May of 2012. Orton returned to the ring at the end of July. Also suspended for the second time in January was Matt Sydal, known by his WWE trademark name Evan Bourne, who appeared to have been caught for using spice, a synthetic form of marijuana. Spice is a drug that has been recently linked to sudden kidney failure, among other health problems. Sydal was holding the WWE tag titles with Kofi Kingston at the time and lost them promptly to Epico and Primo. Near the end of the suspension, Sydal announced he was involved in a bad accident and suffered a Lisfranc fracture dislocation. The injury is possibly career-ending, as a mid-foot fracture causes the collapse of the arch and arthritis that is difficult to recover from even after surgery for athletes and heavy laborers. As a result, both men missed this event at number 6 in our countdown. The milestone of 1,000 episodes of Raw was reached on July 23rd with a broadcast live from the Scott Trade Center in St. Louis, Missouri. The show debuted under the Raw name in January of 1993, replacing Primetime Wrestling after it aired for 7 years. Raw to this day serves as the primary flagship show for the WWE. The episode was watched by 6.3 million viewers, the largest TV audience for the program since June of 2009. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pause our countdown for just a moment as we take a look at this weekend's wrestling events. Ladies and gentlemen, we are pretty tight for time, so let's resume our top 10 countdown. Number 5, Team Ambition gets major heat for engaging in bizarre behavior on the road. This group is headed by Davey Richards with members Tony Kozina, Kyle O'Reilly, and Darren Dean. The story actually begins back in February when the group put out a video proclamation.
And I've come to find that I have no place left in professional wrestling. You see, being able to articulate being an athlete, hard work, diligence, are simply not valued anymore in this sport. If it even is a sport anymore. You see, now, shock rock is valued. Getting on the internet, running your mouth is valued now. You see, I don't run my mouth. My actions speak louder than words. You see, to accomplish what I have accomplished, to follow in the footsteps of my idols, you must get in that ring and work. You must work out of that ring. You must get up every day, sacrifice, shock rock. I want a big gut. I want to eat whatever I want. I don't want to train. And yet, the protocol of wrestling says that I must treat you as a diligent, athletic fighter. I will crush you if you get in the ring with me. Because I don't care. Because I'm going to do what I want, when I want. I'm the best wrestler in the world. And until someone gets in that ring and shows me up, and I mean really shows me up, not some storyline, sorry, calling it like it is, okay? Not some promo, not some character, but get in that ring and out-wrestle me. I am going to do exactly as I please.
Fast forward to May, Davey Richards would be stripped of his IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag title after missing a flight to Japan after being involved in a car accident. The following week, Richards was defeated for the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight title by Kevin Steen. Richards would leave ROH afterward, reportedly disgruntled over creative direction. also announcing at some point his intention to retire sometime this year. In July, his team was booked in Iowa for a 3-day weekend when things turned at Magnum Pro Wrestling. Richards reportedly trashed Steen and CM Punk in a pre-show training clinic. During the event itself, Tony Kazia was booked against 16-year-old Ryan Kidd. Kazia got so butthurt over a pre-planned pre-match promo and decided to work very stiff, giving him multiple pile drivers and throwing him so hard into the corners the ropes snapped. The next day at Adrenaline Pro Wrestling, Team Richards citing wear and tear from the prior 2 nights when the planned card drastically changed around by phone. The promoter couldn't reach an agreement, and given the group was hours away from the venue, canceled them. They showed up anyway right before the main event and bullied the promoter into putting them back in the show with pay. They were paid before the match in good faith, but they went back to their car for wrist tape and drove off. Jason Strife got in the ring and gave a scathing account of what the four men did and shared the story with multiple podcasts and wrestling news sites. Iowa promoters vowed they would not book Richards or his teammates again in response to their unprofessionalism. Kyle O'Reilly and Tony Kazino, who were still with ROH, were suspended by the organization. Richards finally admitted he acted irrationally and returned the money. As for Ryan Kidd, he legally could get licensed to wrestle at age 16 in the state of Missouri with parents' consent. Team Richards continued to play off their bizarre behavior in Tennessee for NWA Smoky Mountain and posted an arrogant promo in response to the heat.
These guys talk about the NWA all the time, you know. They're talking about respect, tradition, the old days. I come out here, I show Chase Owen respect tonight. Oh, I showed him respect when this guy right here spit on the NWA title and threw it in the garbage can.
What about when you hit that mark, huh? Step in my
yeah.
way, boy.
The mark that tries to step up to Team Bandits.
Team Bandits. Wrestling's
Come,
Most Wanted.
That's right, Wrestling's Most Wanted, and you're going to step up to Team Bandits? Does this guy not realize that this guy right here puts people to sleep?
Yeah.
To sleep!
Breaks necks.
What are you going to do? Oh, everybody got hot and bothered on Twitter. Well, you're all big and bad.
Watch out, that 6-year-old kid's coming. Tell that 6-year-old kid. That 6-year-old kid's coming. Watch out.
Hold on. Porridge hot and a piece of porridge cold down the world. Everybody's all offended. Everybody's all, hey, Adam, I love you. Why don't you put that world championship on the line so I can take it? Did you all want some? You're all big and bad on Twitter and on Facebook, and you're all offensive and you're big and bad. You're going to shoot on me.
Oh, they're offended. They're offended, guys.
You ain't going to do a damn thing. Come on, I'm begging you. I'm begging someone. Take me out. Take me out, you gutless cowards. There, right there.
First things first, Kate, don't send a boy to do a man's job or Tony's going to put you right on your head. Second, when it comes to NWA, comes to everyone who's pissed off on the internet, comes to anyone around the world, this is what we do. Kill them all. Team Ambition's dead. This is Wrestling's Most Wanted, and we've only just begun to offend. Let's go, boys, on that night.
Davey Richards has since returned to Ring of Honor, and I personally asked Kyle O'Reilly if all of this was because they were severely butthurt or if this was the Scorched Earth retirement tour. He insists it was all a storyline. Really? Number 4, the remaining affiliates of what was NWA Midwest leave the NWA as the organization as a whole implodes upon itself. After the day, NWA President Robert Trowbridge stripped the Almighty Sheik of the world title, a chain of events chronicle the long, hard fall the company has had. Bruce Tharpe, who joined the NWA in October of 2011, filed suit 3 months later after alleging insurance fraud, but the suit also aimed to remove the sitting board of directors as part of a hostile takeover. Trowbridge ended up resigning from the presidency in April. He was held in contempt of court for no-showing hearings. Combined with other infractions, his law license was suspended. In a settlement, the NWA had to concede to all the wants and demands of Tharpe and was installed as the new president. In some twisted irony, the other players involved in having Almighty Sheik stripped of the title, David Marquez of NWA Championship Wrestling from Hollywood and Greg Price of NWA Ohio, were forced out of the NWA. Other affiliates balked at the new regulations and requirements for membership that Tharpe handed down, prompting a mass exodus out. NWA Wisconsin announced they were leaving. Dynamo Pro and Metro Pro replaced their NWA belts with their own and very quietly left the NWA, ignoring any questions asked of them about it. Adam Pearce, who got the world title after Sheik was stripped, had a feud going against Colt Cabana in a 7 Levels of Hate series with the title on the line, but Tharpe made the final match, held in Australia in a cage, a non-title match. Pierce stated he'd quit the NWA if he lost the series, and after losing to Cabana, vacated the belt and left the ring and the NWA with Cabana. Cahagas won the vacated belt in a 9-way match, but at the end of the year, Bruce Santee, representing Ring Warriors, who was forced out of the NWA a week ago on orders, did a shoot against the champion that went backstage to send a message to Tharp. While the NWA lost a lot of affiliates, the Midwest will have at least one. Charles Wilcox of NWA Missouri years ago will be opening the new Central States Championship Wrestling in March. Number 3, in a shock move, Chris Hagstrom along with Adam Testa announced in December they were leaving All American Pro Wrestling and starting Pro Wrestling Collision, taking the ring, equipment, roster, and staff, leaving only the website, the trademark name, and owner Sean Chambers. Chambers had already handed off booking duties in 2010 and handed promoting duties to Hagstrom in October 2011. The second season of AAPW Collision that aired on WSIL TV3 in Harrisburg and on YouTube was highly successful with non-televised major shows booking top indie talent such as Matt Cross, Pac, Colt Cabana, and El Generico, along with local talent that had become more nationally known to the scene, with AAPW having become the most prominent promotion of Southern Illinois in 2012. The surprise break to start a new promotion left many completely baffled. Neither Hagstrom nor Testa nor Chambers would reveal the motive for the split. Chambers, though, stated he felt betrayed by those he trusted and was uncertain as to whether AAPW would ever run another event. Pro Wrestling Collision runs their first event on Saturday, January 19th in Carbondale at the SIU Ballroom. If there was a storyline reason to explain the split at AAPW, the answer may lie in the next story in our countdown. Number 2, multiple wrestler attack fan incidents occur in Southern Illinois. Mike Masters had been in pursuit of the AAPW heavyweight title held by Edmund Livewire McGuire. Frustrated over prior title matches not going his way, he runs out to interfere in a match between McGuire and Jeremy Wyatt. McGuire would slug him off the apron. Then a fan in the front row started yelling at Masters to where he got in his face. Masters loses his cool and slugs the fan, then pulls him under the barricade to beat on him. Masters was dragged out of the building and fired on the spot by Hagstrom. The match was declared a no contest, with Jeremy Wyatt also suffering a broken leg. The fan declined to file suit against AAPW or Masters. A month later, Sean Chambers, who had been hands-off his promotion, emerges out of the blue and reinstates Masters over Hagstrom's objections to give him one last title match he felt was owed against McGuire. Chambers would become a factor in the title match in June, where he threw in the towel when McGuire couldn't break out of a submission hold and refused to tap, giving the title to Masters. Rematches were granted, and it came down to a cage match in October. Chambers was yet a factor again as he slugged Masters with brass knuckles, which are illegal to possess in the state of Illinois. But when McGuire protested his action, he was also slugged with them. McGuire would still win the title, but Masters remained with AAPW. While that incident got the most attention, other incidents occurred around the state. A match at Chaos Pro Wrestling in July spilled to the floor between the Kentucky Buffet and the team of Kyle Sykes and Zach Sawyer. Matt Cage misfired a punch against Sykes that landed on a teenager, the son of CPW wrestler Ron Trauma. The team coincidentally appeared on an episode of KYB's web show All You Can Eat. Prince Mustafa Ali was fined $1,500 for shoving a spectator after losing a tag team match at Dreamwave in June. The fan happened to be the girlfriend of champion Nick Brubaker, of whom he just lost to. But the worst incident occurred in September at Strictly Insane Pro Wrestling. Adam Gooch, seen here, who months earlier had a prior altercation with another fan, attempted to interfere in a match between SMPW heavyweight champion Isaiah and Drew Haskins. Gooch attempted to throw a chair into the ring. A special needs fan, Nathan Clark, laughed at him when it bounced off the ropes and hit the floor. A frustrated Gooch slugged Clark in the face, doing major damage. Gooch attempted to flee the scene after police arrived, but was apprehended and charged with third-degree aggravated assault. Gooch managed to post bail after sitting a week in jail and is scheduled to go on trial in White County, Illinois in mid-February. Gooch was fired from SMPW after this incident, but surprisingly was reinstated in late December. Nathan Clark, however, has caused problems at other shows, prompting calls from wrestlers to ban him from wrestling events altogether. He was already banned from AAPW after a fight with his own father occurring off-camera here, where the fans and masters have their attention drawn. And the #1 news story of the St. Louis wrestling community for the year 2012. The Insane Clown Posse filed suit against the FBI in September for classifying fans of the horror rap group and their label, Psychopathic Records, the Juggalos, as a gang. The ICP announced their plans at the 13th annual gathering of the Juggalos held in Cave Rock, Illinois. Violent J, in his own words, describes why they took the step in a seminar.
In October of last year, the FBI named Juggalos one of the top 10 gangs on the FBI gang top 10 gang assessment list. All right, right along with the Crips, the Bloods, the Aryan Nation, MS-13, all kinds of lethal, deadly, drug-selling, street taking over, hardcore street gangs. They have named Juggalos a street gang. Let me tell you how this affects us, all right? Starting off with the Juggalos. Since this thing happened, we have been hearing about Juggalos who maybe are on probation or parole, right? They go to visit their probation officer and they're wearing a psychopathic hat or something. The probation officer sees that hat and actually violates them. They violate their probation because they're wearing a Hatchet Man hat. Listen, we're hearing stories about ninjas being sent back to jail because they're wearing a hat, a Psychopathic Records hat or a Hatchet hat. There are ninjas who are on parole that just got out of prison, and same thing, they go to see their parole officer and they have a hatchet tattoo on their arm, and the parole officer is sending them back to prison because they are now a gang member, okay? When this dude gets arrested and sentenced, the judge is not gonna sentence him as a civilian that got caught selling weed or whatever he did, but the judge is gonna sentence him as a gang member selling weed. So thus, they're punishing ninjas for being juggalos. This is the government's way of telling us what you can listen to, what you can wear. Now the FBI is saying that the merchandise we sell, hatchet gear, is in fact gang apparel. Okay? Stores like Hot Topic, which have been selling our for years, a lot of Hot Topics in a lot of states are no longer selling our because they're saying that it's gang apparel and they don't want to sell gang apparel. Right? Now, when we come to your city to do a concert, the government is saying that concert isn't a concert. It's in fact a gang rally, which means to even get insurance on the building, the cost is through the roof because who the is going to insure 1,500 gang members to have a party in their club, making it harder and harder for us to even find places to play. Do you understand? This is the government's way of trying to eliminate Psychopathic and the Juggalos. The only way they know how. They're trying to eliminate us. It hasn't even been a year. It hasn't even been a year. Imagine 5 years from now when every person in America looks at Juggalos as if they're a gang. How would that be, you know? Sometimes it's cool. Oh, you're saying I'm a gang member? I am a gang member. But let me tell you something. It ain't cool, because when you start going to jail for that and start getting punished for the music you listen to, ninjas, listen, this has never happened in the history of rock and roll, period. Our announcement is, no matter what it costs or what it takes, we are, as of right now, officially suing the FBI.
A Freedom of Information Act request was made to the FBI demanding what got them the designation. A minimal explanation given was from use of social networking and infiltration of the armed forces. Depositions were taken by lawyers representing psychopathic records on the grounds during gathering, and a website was set up for sharing information. It is unknown when court action on the complaint will begin. Other news that came out of the gathering, estimated attendance was way down from the previous year at 8,000 patrons. There were also no reported fatalities that had marred prior gatherings, though there were arrests for drug and weapons charges and a stabbing the morning after the gathering ended. Some of the performers on stage included Stack X, Fear Factory, Ghetto Boys, Cheech and Chong, Jamie Kennedy, POD, Master P, George Clinton, Swollen members, and the Cottonmouth Kings. Bloody mmwa-sicw was also held at the gathering and on iPay-per-view, without the technical problems or the hours late start that plagued the event last year. Another bizarre incident that got a lot of attention was when Juggalo patrons completely demolished a car in retaliation against a thief of whom was caught red-handed with stolen goods in the trunk. The destroyed vehicle was actually stolen itself, unbeknownst to the patrons, who proceeded to smash up and dismantle the car. Lawmakers did introduce a bill in the Illinois House seeking to levy a 6.5% tax on tickets to large events to help offset the costs for extra law enforcement, but that bill has gone nowhere.
As 2012 came to an end, we take a look back at some of the names and faces that have graced the wrestling ring that we have lost in 2012. And that was the top 10 St. Louis wrestling news stories for the year 2012. And coming up in March and into April, we have the 6th annual NBS Awards. We're accepting your nominations until early March, and you can find out how you can send your nominations by going to CentralIllinoisProWrestling.com/awards. And that will do it for this edition, the 200th episode, milestone edition of the MBS TV. I am the Mad Conservative Crime Fighter. Hope to see you back here for episode 201 next week.